Hey guys, how you doing? It is your girl Abia Grant. Welcome back to Reflection by Abia. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're having a blessed day, a blessed week, a blessed month, a blessed what? What are we in? We about to go into what, the third quarter? Yeah. The third quarter is about to roll around at the time of recording this. It is March 29th. It is Good Friday. So we're about to wrap up quarter one and roll into quarter, what, two? Did I say two or three before? Quarter two. But I hope everyone is doing well and you're having a blessed day at the time of listening to this. So let's just talk. Let's just talk, guys. I've been really, how can I say? I've been thinking and considering, just a lot in conversations that I have with you guys. Kind of also the direction of this podcast and everything. Finding my footing and so forth. So I was speaking to my girlfriend about it and how like I really want the podcast to go in the flow of where I'm not just talking about every different topics every single week, that I'm kind of just honing on or addressing. I'm trying to find the right words, leading the conversation into a new conversation based on the prior podcast episode. And the reason why I say that is because last week I left off with the end of my podcast talking about how that sometimes in life we think that we have everything figured out, and then we get to a point on when that everything that or some of the things that we started off with are no longer working anymore, and we're trying to force the pieces, and or we're kind of tripping over the pieces again because we're forcing them and they're sticking out and they're jagged and they don't fit anymore. And I feel like this touches home for me because for me I'm so forced to do the things the way that I want to do it, and I'm forcing the pieces. I'm just like, you know what? It was working before, it got to work now, and this is the way that we're going to go. So, and I talk about my private life here, guys. As you guys know, I put my I guess you can see a little bit of my business out there. Um because I like to keep it real with you guys. And this is such a side conversation, but something that I wasn't going to talk about in this podcast that I don't have noted down. But my husband was coming to me, I guess in his concern of um me wanting to go, as me becoming an older woman and everything. Things are starting to change physically, and um I'm the kind of person where I don't like going to the doctor. I don't like the poking and the prodding and asking me a billion questions, and the reason why I don't go, to be honest with you, is the fear. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because my normal way of thinking is just, well, before you weren't doing it, so why you doing it now? And I'm relating this to the pieces part because it's like, again, it's not about necessarily the pieces of light. The pieces actual peace is the way that we move in our life. It's like we could do things so much better, but we're so used to being concerned about what we did before. And I think sometimes we get so blindsided when we're shown that we need to do things differently. So I say that all to say is that, part with me going to the doctor is that I sat with myself yesterday. I said, you know what? It's important for me to make sure everything is running smoothly, and I'm checking myself out and taking, precautions, and that will make him feel good. That would eventually make me feel good, even though I really don't want to do it. Um, because it's just important. So going into, jumping into this week's topic, the title that I wrote down is "What Happens When the Pieces of your life don't fit? What happens if the choices that you have made in your past don't fit your now? Kind of like, what do you do?" And I thought about this week. I did some, research. A lot of what I found online was, related to the Bible and putting your faith in God and understanding that, He is going to give you the tools in order to find what you need to find in order to move better in the world. But I really wanted to I feel like that is a part of it, but I feel like also as people we have to do our part. I don't feel like it is okay, we just leave it in the hands of God and that's it. And some people may think differently. I don't feel that way. I feel like it's a team situation, and you have to do your part as well too. I wrote down, you probably are trying to figure out why your life today doesn't make any sense because you had all the pieces before, or what you thought were the pieces. And then I have down here, you cannot blame yourself for the pieces not fitting anymore. And I think that this is a big thing that's happened with me in my past, so which I can't. What's that saying? Like, you can't get in front of yourself. It's kind of like you're stopping yourself. You're such in the space of blaming yourself and wondering and wishing and putting yourself in such a space where you're stuck and you can't really pull yourself out because you're playing the blame game to yourself. And I feel that your situation may be different than my situations in my past and situations obviously now. But I feel like we have to take ourselves out of those feelings because we have to want growth. And if we're stuck in this place of blaming ourselves on the decisions that we've made, I feel like sometimes we're just going to make bad decisions. And we can't take back the bad decisions, but we could make sure that the next decision we make is better. And I think that blaming ourselves for our past, I understand it. I understand that feeling. I've done it, but we can't stay in that place because then we can't work on what we need to work on in order to achieve whatever we're trying to achieve. Like, we're just going to be in a place of this is what it is, but we're not moving. It's kind of like that quicksand kind of situation. You know, do you want to be stuck in the quicksand, or do you want to call on people in order to help you, or do you want to look and see if there is a stick around to keep you above level? Do you want to calm yourself down so that I mean, I don't know how quicksand necessarily works, but do you want to calm yourself down in order to, try to find a solution to get out of that quicksand? You know, like I said last week, okay, you could sit here and I guess you could say cry a river. We could sit here and be emotional, but after those emotions, what are you going to do about it? Quite honestly, are you going to be in a space of constantly blaming yourself and never improving on it? Or are you going to try to find the solutions in order to do what you need to do? So I have here the next bullet point. The fact of the matter is that you can't go back and correct your choices and or the choices that were made for you. You may have read that before. I'm not 100% sure. So what's next? How do you start putting the puzzle back together? So this is kind of where I feel like there is there are solutions. I feel like sometimes in life we have multiple solutions, and then it's like we got to figure out what's the best solution. And sometimes we do not pick the right solution. We think it's a solution, but it's really not a solution. And I think, again, sometimes we get stuck on we made that choice, and, yes, we're supposed to full fledged go into this is the choice that we have made. But at the same time, I feel like we do have the ability to change our route. You know, no one is truly forcing you to continue the route that you're going. If you feel like that, okay, this is the route that I chose. I'm not liking the way that it's going. You always have a choice to change your route, I feel like. Um I don't necessarily I'm not saying that it's easy, depending on whatever it may be for you, but I feel that nothing is necessarily permanent. You know, you know what? The things I feel like some things are permanent and some things are not. And I think sometimes we think something is permanent, in actuality is really not permanent. You know? Um, so it's like we always have an opportunity to try something else. That's just how that is how I feel about it. And I think sometimes we get stuck in thinking that we can't change it because we made this choice. And yes, you have to full fledged you go into that choice because that's the choice that you did make. Yeah, you may be penalized. There may be an outcome that didn't work in your favor at the end of the day. But after that's done transpired, you can't make another choice to do something else. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about me going to the doctor. Bringing that back up, and I know it doesn't. To me, it correlates with each other, but my choice before was not to go. My choice is not to go. But I said, you know what, Bia, you got to make a better choice. It's not just about you. You know, I have a whole partner, so I have to also consider his feelings. Now if you're a single person out there, then you may not have to consider other your partner's feelings. You may not, but my situation is a little bit different. And that also at the end of the day, I was gonna say glad. I'm accepting the fact, darn, I just lost my train of thought, guys. I apologize. No, I'm accepting the fact that someone cares about me enough to say something, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like our some people may not say nothing. Some partners may be like, whatever, do you. As they say, do you, boo. But he's come to me and he's addressed it with me, and I'm like, okay, at first I was just kind of like, bro, kind of like, get out my face. Really don't want, I really don't want to hear you right now, but I was like, okay, let me just sit on this for a minute. And then I was like, you know what? Just do it. Just do it. And get it done. All right, so let's move on to the next bullet point I have here. Embrace the change. Look at the opportunity to do things differently than how you did it before. Stop and see what is working and what you need to remove from the puzzle. Take the easy pieces and start putting them together. These are what your hope for, value, what is necessary to survive. So when I say embrace the change, it's like understand that this is the pieces in which you have to work with. So with those pieces, what can you put together? It may not be a finished puzzle. I feel like the way life works is that sometimes we're given pieces as life goes. We'll start off with the corners and the outer layer, and then as we start to put those together, then we are introduced another piece. Whether it be okay, we find it somewhere and then underneath another piece of puzzle, or somebody brings it to us and says, "Hey, I think that I had your puzzle by mistake, and I was working on mine, and here you go. This is your piece of puzzle." Just feel like that's kind of the way life works is sometimes that we don't have we don't have all the solutions right away, but we start working on what we can work on and pray on it and understand that as we put in our effort and we work with what we have at the moment, that the other parts that we need will come. They will come. And I feel like sometimes it can take time. But I feel that also, like I spoke about it, I believe last week, is that we have to have hope. We have to have hope that as we start to put things together, that we're going to find our next piece of our life. You know, nobody truly has the answer. Nobody truly has the whole answer. And I think sometimes we think that people do have the whole answer because of what they have and all the rest of this stuff. And, I just don't think that that is of value. You know, I just really think that we need to not look at what others have and think that their life is whole, you know, to be honest with you. So, like I said, embrace the change. Look at the opportunity to do things differently than how you did it before. So again, when you're giving new parts of your journey, you can maneuver it in a way and you differently than the way that you've done it before, especially if your prior outcome was not great. And when I think about this, I think about, and I jot it down here, and I don't, I relate this to relationships, you know, but this can this can be across the board for any situation that I feel like you're dealing with. Is that sometimes we go into a relationship where it's not successful, right? And we're forcing it, forcing it, forcing it, forcing it to fit. We're, when it's not. There's constant bickering, um there's unhappiness, there is just you I feel like in the relationship and you know you should feel joyful. I feel like in any relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's whatever ship it is, I feel like you should be feeling good at the end. And I feel like if you're not feeling good at the end, then you need to remove yourself from that. Because what's the point of continuing this, downward spiral if you're not happy? What's the point? So now in that relationship, I feel that we learn a lot about ourselves. And I feel like before you get into a next relationship, it's very important to sit down and think about what worked and what didn't work. And I feel like that's the same thing with life. What part of your life did not work and what part did work? Okay, what did not work? We're going to jot that down so that we have it noted so we don't repeat that for the future. And the things that did work, we're going to take that and we're going to utilize those same tools. We are going to grow those same tools so that when we get into our next situation, we've already got pieces that's working. And that's the thing is I think sometimes we think all of our pieces are garbage. And they're not. Not all the pieces. I don't feel like all the pieces are garbage. I don't feel that way. I just can't believe that that all the pieces are garbage. And I've again this your situation, I don't know where you may be, but I feel like even if the puzzle piece is all junk, you still learn something from it. So whatever you learn from it, those are your new pieces that you're taking into your next situation. What you've learned, you know, maybe it's not a physical, I don't want to say physical piece. Maybe I feel like no situation is not something that you can't take and learn from it and move to the next part of your life. That's just how I feel about it. And like I said before, I think that we think that the whole situation is garbage, and it's really not. It's really not garbage. And it's like, what do you make of it? You know? So, like I said, you take those pieces, you move it to your next situation, you start putting the puzzle together, you work on what you value. As I mentioned before, you work on your hopes, you work on what is necessary to survive. What's going to pour back into yourself. And I feel like within pouring back into yourself, your surroundings are seeing that, okay, she's working on what she's working on. God sees you're working on what you're working on. And then all these positive things are going to start to trickle in. Maybe not as fast as you would want them to trickle in, but they will. Because I just feel like God sees and the universe sees goodness. I just feel like, and that's the reason why I always believe in karma, not to deviate into that. But I feel like when you don't do good, it's going to come after you. If you do good, that karma that's going to come after you is going to be good karma. It may not be the same phrasing or what have you, to be honest with you, but good things are going to come your way because you're moving in a way that is a positive place. But when you're doing When you're not doing right, how can you expect your outcome to be right? And that's the thing. When I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about, and I don't want to really get into that, but I'm thinking about the situation with Diddy that's been all over the news the past couple of weeks. And I don't know much about it, so I really don't want to dive into that. And that's the reason why I said before, things may be looking good. Money may be coming in, you partying, you having fun, you doing all this and doing all these things. And at the end of the day, look at your pieces. So that's the thing, is like we look at what people got and think, well, dang, they got that. I don't have that. God decided that that's not what you need. Just because the life looks good on that side doesn't necessarily mean it's great on that side. It doesn't mean that. It does not mean that. So don't look at other people and what they got going on. You know, Obviously, as I always mentioned before, if they're doing something positive, then great. But focus on yourself. Focus on what you need to work on. You know? I know I say you know a lot, guys. I apologize, but that's just how I speak. So, stop and see what is working and what you need to remove from the puzzle. I mentioned that before. Removing all the garbage, all the pieces that do not work, throwing those, in a bucket, and focusing on the ones that are of value, ones that are going to work out for you. Take the easy pieces and start putting them together. Again, I mentioned that is your hope, your value, what is necessary to survive, what you need in order to maneuver and move in this world. You focus on those things. You don't focus on things that are not going to be added value to you. You know, don't focus on things in which you're pouring into other people, but people are not pouring into you. That's not of value. So you need that over there. Now, if people are bringing you positive things and they're in a positive alignment and they are moving in a way that you see is in good faith, their spirit is a good spirit, because we could get into a whole other subject about spirits, man. Some people got some things on them. I'm gonna be honest with you, out here in these streets. Some people got some spirits on them, man. And you're like, bro, that spirit shines, and you're like, yeah, I see you when I see you. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, that over there, feel it. I feel it. And I know some people probably don't believe in spirits. Who knows? Hopefully, you guys do. I do believe that energy can go into people. I feel like if God given us all of this, the ability to talk, to walk, to think, to make decisions, to eat, to do all these things, to swim, all these things. Why would I not believe that spirits can't be on us? But like I said, that's a whole nother separate conversation. So I have here next bullet point. It's about growth. This is your moment. We have to understand this is a season. And yeah, we have to understand that this is our time to shine. And I think about it when I think about the seasons. Now I was telling my girlfriend about this the other day. And that's kind of like the quote here. I mentioned the quote. Reading this, bloom. We have to understand this is a season. That was a quote that I kind of just wrote for myself and reading to you guys. But I feel like, okay, with the seasons, we got, especially New York and Jersey and the East Coast, we have winter, we have what, spring, summer, and then fall. Right now in my neighborhood, there's this tree in my neighbor's yard and it blooms, right? Well, yesterday I was coming in the house and all the trees that's around us are looking like who did it and why. Even the tree in my backyard is some of the leaves haven't even come off the tree, right? Because it's like who did it and why. But I look at the tree in his yard and there's these beautiful white and pink flowers. Absolutely gorgeous. I ain't had not a near leaf on it the past couple of what months. But I woke up today and I see this beautiful tree in his yard. And that's the way that I look at life. It's like things may not look beautiful all the time, but we get to a point in which we bloom. We get into a point in which we grow. We get into a point in which we shine, you know? And that's the way I feel like life works is that we have to understand that it's about growth and we have to, well, we don't have to, but we want to bloom. I will want to hope that we understand that the choices that were made in the past, that these choices were not necessarily going to work in our moment in our life. So we are going to rejudge, resort the puzzle, take out what is not working and go back at it again and think about it as continuous growth. Think about it is that one day you will bloom. One day you will shine bright. And that tree in that yard is standing out more than any other tree in this neighborhood. And it's shining bright while all the other trees are looking like who did it and why. So like I say that to say that is that your light may not shine the same time as other people's lights. It may not, but we have to have faith. We have to have hope. We have to continue working on ourselves and organizing our pieces and finding the tools in which is going to allow for us to grow. It's going to allow for us to keep on moving on, you know. And that's just the way that I look at it. But guys, that is the end of this week's podcast. Like I said, I this week's quote is in what I wrote at the end. So I'll read it again. Bloom, we have to understand this is a season. I'll read that one more time. Bloom, we have to understand this is a season. We have to understand this is a season. And seasons change. We in another quarter. In quarter two. We now leaving quarter one. There's going to be changes in quarter two. So are you ready? Because I know I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for the next quarter. I'm ready for April, May, June. My birthday is coming in June. We're gonna be 41, and we're gonna live our life. We are going to keep going at it and learning and growing. So yeah, guys. Now, I did want to leave off at the end of this podcast to let you guys know that I do have a Instagram page for Reflection by Abia. I'm going to try and list the information down below. I don't think I have been putting that there in the past, but If you want to correspond with me, normally I'll post on my Instagram page the actual information showing that an episode had came out. I'm also trying to be more consistent on posting like short clips of the podcast, things that I feel that, are of value and people need to hear. We're trying to, or I'm trying to work better at that. We're a one man show, and you guys know I got a lot going on. So, but we are working better to do that. But I say that all to say is that if you want to correspond with me, you want to interact and so forth, please go to that Instagram page. Please follow me. I will follow you as well too. We can have further conversation and everything. You can send me a DM and so forth. That's kind of Instagram is kind of going to be where we as they say, shoot the shit. Where we going to shoot the shit, and I'm all about just really learning from people, helping people, having those conversations, as we are now developing this podcast and so forth. And I do hope that the conversations that we have had has open up you guys' mind. I know it has opened up my mind more, um, and growing as a person, as me. So I hope that it's been worthwhile to you. But guys, again, I'll say it. This is the end of this week's episode. So stay blessed out there in those streets and make sure that you treat others kindly out there in those streets. And God willing, I will talk to you guys next week. All right. Have a good day, guys. Bye.